My first job in sales was working for my father in the automotive industry. My father was a legend in the fleet sales industry. That's the sale of corporate vehicles to companies, leasing companies, rent-a-car companies like that. And I'd been working for my father for a few years inside the office, and one day he calls me into his office and he says, "Hey, I've got some exciting news for you." I said, "What's that?" He goes, "It's time for you to join the big boys." I said, "Well, what does that mean?" He said, "Effective today," he said, "you're going into sales." He goes, "You are now the Midwestern Regional Fleet Sales Manager for Long Chevrolet. You have an office downstairs. We've put the phone book on the desk for you to look for prospects. The phone is hooked up. Your business cards are printed. Your name is on the door." He said, "Go get 'em, Tiger." Well, I went down to this office with no sales training whatsoever. I had never sold anything in my life. And I sat there for a month. And do you know how many people I called? Zero. Nobody. Because you see, I could open the phone book, and just by opening the phone book and looking at the names of the prospects, just looking at the names of people in the phone book, I could tell that it was the wrong psychological moment to interrupt them. I had a self-esteem issue. I had a fear of rejection issue. Well, I knew I had to do something, so after a month of not calling anybody, I knew somebody was going to ask. So you have to imagine how difficult this was. Here is this 20-something son going to his sales legend father, admitting that he cannot sell. And my father took it extremely well. He said, "You know, you're right." He goes, "I never gave you any sales training." He says, "Come on in here. Let's make some calls." Well, let's make some calls really meant that my dad was going to make some calls, and I was going to sit on the other side of the desk and listen in. And this was pre-speakerphone, so I'm only hearing one half of the conversation, which went something like this. "Okay, look, ABC Rent-A-Car. I've never called on these people before. Let's give them a call." "Uh-huh. Yes, purchasing, please." "Sure, I'll hold." "Great, Tom, my name is Don Fenton. I'm the Vice President of Fleet Sales at Long Chevrolet. We've been in business for 22 years. My dad does his sales presentation. He says, "Sure, hang on." He says, "Hand me that yellow pad." I slide the legal pad across the desk. My dad goes, "Uh-huh, yeah, terrific. Takes about 6 weeks, right? Oh, yeah, of course, we invoice you. Terrific. Looking forward to doing business with you, too." My dad hangs up the phone. He says, "Here, ABC Rent-A-Car would like to buy 20 cars, 10 Malibus, 10 Impalas, mix the colors, mix the interiors. That's selling." I took this yellow pad. I walked to the door. I closed the door behind me. And that was the moment I decided to leave the car business. I had been working for a clothing chain for about 2 months. My sales were completely abysmal. I was completely convinced that if my sales didn't improve, that they were going to fire me. And I heard that the district manager, a man by the name of Harold, was going to stop by. And I thought, maybe on this store visit, if I could impress Harold, if I could show him what a great salesperson I was, or at least how much potential I had, they'd give me some more time to improve. So Harold shows up. We have donuts and coffee, exchange pleasantries. The store opens up at 10 o'clock, and because I was the first person in that morning, I was the first up. And so in walks this very well-dressed gentleman. I walk up to him and say, "Hi, can I help you?" He says, "Yes, I need to buy an entire wardrobe of clothing." I thought, this is it. This is my moment. I'm going to show Harold what a great salesperson I can be. And for the next 45 minutes, I took care of this man. He bought a suit, a sport coat, a few pair of slacks, shirts, ties, shoes, socks, belts, underwear, collar pin, pocket square. I mean, he bought just tons of stuff. Came to $1,100. And for our price point, that was a really good sale. So I rang him up, walked him out of the store. I came back in, and now I was waiting for Harold to congratulate me on my spectacular sale. And Harold didn't say anything. So I started moving towards Harold, so that I would be in his line of sight. And finally, we ended up standing side by side next to the cash register, and Harold finally threw me a bone. He said, "That was a nice sale, kid." I said, "Yeah, man, did you see that? $1,100, that was a good one, huh?" He goes, "Yep, nice sale." It's a moment of silence. And then Harold said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure, what?" He said, "Out of curiosity," he said, "what did that customer say no to?" And I said, "Harold, were you not watching the same sale I just had? That was an $1,100 sale. He bought a suit, he bought a sport coat, he goes, whoa, hang on." He says, "We already know what he said yes to." He said, "Yes is always the easy part. You just take the sales check and you look at everything the customer bought, and that's everything they said yes to." He said, "What I'm asking you is, what did that customer say no to?" And I stopped and I reviewed the sale in my head from the moment that customer walked in until I walked him out of the store. And I realized that he hadn't said no to anything. every single thing I showed that man, he purchased. And I said, Harold, he didn't say no to anything. And then Harold asked me the really important question. He said, then how did you know he was done? Well, it was real simple how he knew he was done. You see, I had never spent over $1,000 on clothing for myself in my life. That was a lot of money to spend. I couldn't comprehend somebody spending more than $1,000 on clothing on a single trip into a store. And when a customer got to my mental spending limit, when they got to $1,000, they were done. We're sitting in the office one day, talking about prices. And Andrea says to me, I got the new Norm Thompson catalog. There's a cake in here that I'd like to buy. I said, yeah, go ahead. I'm sitting at the desk typing away. She goes, well, don't you want to know what it costs first? And I'm thinking, how much could a cake cost, right? She says, yes. And I'm thinking, wow, she's making a big deal over this. To me, a cake is worth about $10. So I doubled it to 20. And then I thought, no, she really is making a big deal. So I said, $35. She said, no, higher. I said, really? $50. She goes, keep going. I said, oh, come on, $75. She goes, keep going. I said, oh, please don't tell me there's a $100 cake out there. She said, keep going. Now, I admit it's one heck of a cake. You see the picture up on the screen. This is from artist-turned-baker Polly Schoonmaker. Whimsical rosebuds, zany dots, and silly squares dance merrily. That's got to be like $30 right there. Over this topsy-turvy, 10-inch in diameter cake that serves 14 people, $180. And then in very small print it says, sorry, no gift wrap. For $180 I want the cake, I want it gift wrapped, and I want somebody to come to my house and polish my car. That is a tremendous amount of money. I can't even comprehend that for a cake. And yet, apparently, somebody's spending that money on cake. So I've been carrying this thing around the countryside, and it started getting kind of ratty. It's fallen apart a little bit. So I thought I would call the Norm Thompson Company and ask them to send me a new catalog so I could get an updated catalog. So I called. I got a young lady on the phone. I said, could you please send me a new catalog with that Polly Schoonmaker cake in it? And she goes, oh, I'm sorry, sir. We no longer carry that cake. I said, see, I knew it. Nobody's spending $180 on a cake. She goes, no, we have a new cake now. It's on the cover. It's $200. Whether people are going to say yes, whether they're going to say no, how much they're willing to spend, it's really not our decision. People will shock you and surprise you as to what they'll buy, what they'll do, and what they'll spend on things when we allow ourselves to get out of the way of the process. As kids, we had enormous numbers of things that we needed to do where we needed to fail at over and over again, like learning to tie our shoes and ride our bicycle and dating and walking. I read a research project recently where it said the average child has to fall approximately 200 times before it finally walks successfully. Now, I want you to imagine a child who, after falling and hitting its head on the coffee table for the 9th time, says, that's it, I'm done. I am just going to lay here and they can take care of me. Right? But we don't. As kids, we just keep going. But later on, our comfort zone starts to squeeze in on us. And we have well-meaning parents and well-meaning teachers who tell us not to do things and to draw within the lines and not to take chances. And suddenly our comfort zone starts to shrink. It's a constant battle to be expanding the realm of our comfort zone. Key concept. No doesn't mean never. No means not yet. No doesn't mean the end of the road. No means that we're making progress. No means that we've started the process with someone, not that the process